get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show.
Hi Kylie.
Hi Yvette.
Thank you so much for sparing some time. It is a live recording of What If Wednesday. We're in a bit of a fishbowl, so if my head is going all over the place, it's because people are making rude gestures outside the window. Not so rude. I mean, we just got rid of Justin Dawson, so that's always a good thing. But welcome to the ISC Influencer Hub, and thank you to them for creating this space where we can record and have conversations away from the madding crowd. How are you? When did you get here? How are you finding the show?
I'm good, thank you. I got here late Monday. Found the show so busy, the same as last year. It's just absolutely nuts what technology is here, and the kind of people that are here from every different companies and institutions. But yeah, it's fabulous to see some of the new technology that's flying around.
What stood out?
Oh, there's a particular signage unit, I think LG do, that with the squares that can't move in and out with the time to the video. That was quite dynamic. That looked interesting. And then there was a transparent glass as well that looked you could
which has been here before.
Yes, I saw that last year, but they sort of twinned it with something behind it this time, so it looked a bit more impactful. But yeah, I'm looking for some sort of esports tech.
That's so seamless.
But it's just I just can't seem to find
So, I was just going to say, tell us a bit about your role at Durham University and what you do.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. So my role at Durham University, I'm the technical specialist for esports. And what that basically means is that I'm responsible for developing the esports initiative at Durham, primarily with our students in mind. You know, they play in the national leagues as all year round, but with a mind to expand into the local community as well, trying to encourage more students from further education to stay at Durham, stay in the area, study with us, and use esports as a method of sort of pulling them in and saying, look what a great esports offer we have here. And then looking at sort of school children age as well, to provide opportunities like coding, gaming
really
sessions,
just
sort of branching out and getting the community involved a bit more, which I think is kind of a bit lacking around that area.
Because when I think back to my higher ed days, when I worked in higher ed, it was a bit more like kind of defined.
Yeah.
And Durham, having the reputation of being one of our best universities, may not have seemed accessible.
No.
Right?
Precisely.
So it, hard to get into and all of that, and probably not attracting. But that's amazing. That dare I use the word pivot? That's one hell of a pivot, right?
It's certainly with a view to widen participation, I think is the key words that they tend to use. And I think it generally opens up to those who have a maybe lesser financial background as well, sort of welcome them in. We're looking to have a scholarship as well created the next couple of years, maybe aimed internationally, but maybe local as well, so we'll keep an eye on that.
So when we think of esports, when I think of esports, I generally think of a load of geeky looking men in their gaming chairs, and or even in arenas, right? It's generally male.
Yep.
Fairly white.
Pretty white, yeah.
So, how did you get into it?
I started gaming when I was around 3 years old. If you can believe that, that's mental. I know. My dad brought home a ZX Spectrum one day, and we just played Jetpack, and it was dead easy controls, up, down, left, right.
Yep.
Dead easy, babe. You could do it clear.
See, I like the wall on Spectrum.
yeah. The Spectrum one was fantastic.
That was good.
Much better technology there. But then it just stuck. It's just something that stuck with me throughout my life. My dad encouraged it, probably much to my mum's chagrin. She was the one telling me to go outside and what we say, touch grass in the industry.
Yeah.
Which I did sometimes, probably not as much as she'd liked. But I've just played games all my life, every major console release, PC. Played semi-professionally.
I was going to say you've had some wins.
Yeah, at university. Yes. Played for a women's team and a mixed team back then. So it's not like it's completely new. these days, but the women's scene, especially in Valorant, which is a first-person shooter game, is growing massively, and there's now a whole tournament league dedicated to it, and that's worldwide as well. It's not just in Europe. Overwatch have something similar. The national student leagues that play as well have women in non-binary leagues too in tournaments. So it's definitely much bigger than it was 20 years ago. I mean, it was the team that I was part of at the time could have been seen as a token women's team.
Right, okay.
Because one organisation got a women's team, and then my organisation went, oh, actually, we'd like a women's team.
And how is it? I mean, it's not the same as saying, you know, other sports, right? It's e-sport.
Yeah.
So what is it like? Is there friction between male
Oh,
and female?
absolutely. I mean, it's not like you could go, when you go and play football outside with your friends, no one on the side is going to start shouting abuse at you because you're a woman playing football. If you go onto a server and use your microphone, which you should on communication-based games, the chances are you're going to get someone on your team as well, which is ridiculous, giving out. Go back to the kitchen, make me a sandwich. All that kind of, you know, really classy stuff. Yeah, there's some classy phrases out there. But then they do go a bit far and, you know, tell you to kill yourself and all this stuff. It does get really vicious just for being a woman or, you know, a non-binary person that plays.
I'm going to stop moaning about being called woke now. I embrace that, though. I did say I'm going to get a badge. I've been saying it for 2 years. I still haven't done it.
My husband's the same. He's like, I don't care.
But it's hard, right? Because
it's terrible.
You might ignore it once, ignore it twice, but then it can get under your skin, right?
It can. I mean,
So how do you deal with that?
I've been exposed to it for, well, like say, at least 20 years. But some new younger players, it can certainly affect their confidence. And, you know, if they are a bit introverted in the first place, then they get a thrall of abuse through at them, they're just going to not want to play. They're just going to withdraw even further.
And let's say you touched on something there about being introvert. You're also dealing with people who you know, may have neurodiversity, right?
Absolutely.
What about the other aspects of that in terms of confidence and mental health and all of that? What have you seen? How have you dealt with it?
Personally, I'm of the mindset, I think, again, it's just because I've dealt with it for quite a long time, that it's just water off a duck's back to me. There are some things that get to me, but it's more aimed at my skill level.
Right.
So she's dreadful, you know, 40-year-old woman can't play, that kind of... But they don't know I'm 40, obviously.
No.
And I take that to heart
and
sometimes.
you don't look it.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. I'm not even wearing any makeup. I take that to heart more than someone going, oh, you're a woman, go back to the kitchen. It's because I want to be good and I want to better myself. Whereas someone younger might take all of that to heart, and then it's much more impactful and dreadful for them to deal with. So for a single player in a professional organisation, they have support. They have things like mental health, welfare sort of reps type thing that go through the methods and tactics to try and disperse the feelings and let them deal with it a bit more. Whereas a single player on their own with no organisation who's just in their bedroom, it's really tough to try and get over that barrier and not what we call tilt. So that means you just go nuts.
And I just, to me, I would find that, and I do know a lot of guys who actually think it's really cool, like, oh, she's really cool because she plays, right?
These are really big bonus.
And it can be quite a supportive
we need our
environment, right?
Sure,
we absolutely need our lives. How does that translate in the university? So how is the university tackling that in terms of recruiting students, getting people on? What are the in terms of the cohorts? What's that looking like?
In terms of how we deal with mental health, or how we
how do you attract girls?
Oh, okay. I see
into the cohorts.
We have a lot of women and non-binary teams that play in the national student leagues. So every term, it sort of refreshes and the points start again. So we put out a call each start of term for anyone that wants to play. We have women and non-binary reps who do these calls. They take the teams on board, give them an introduction to, you know, anything they might not understand. It might be the first time playing as a team in that environment, which is totally different to just playing publicly. They'll be taught how to practice, because you do need to practice. You can't just go and play an official and expect to win. You've really got to practice, 2-3 times a week.
And does everybody physically have to be on site?
No, that's the thing, because we don't have a space yet, but one's getting built right now. and
Wonderful.
it should be
Any
finished.
sponsors out
I
there
was gonna
interested
say,
in?
God, so, there should be other sponsors are available. There should be
Adam Phillips, this is
I
a
was
shout
gonna
out
say,
to you.
I know Adam, he's been in touch a few times. But it should be finished in March, so that will add a whole new dynamic to the student teams.
Fantastic.
It's not big; it'll seat maybe 2 teams, but there is talk of this
Okay.
developing further into a more of an arena type thing and make it more of a spectacle. But mostly students play at their home, in their student dorms, in wherever they live. And that itself provides a problem because the Wi-Fi on campus isn't great.
So it's not a level playing field,
No,
right?
no,
At all.
it puts people off before
Yeah.
they're even started.
Yeah, and also you don't know where they're at. So in terms of
No.
duty of care, how do you address that?
That is again sort of held by one of the welfare reps of,
Right.
of the clubs, all student led, but then they do have a link into our staff welfare teams as well, run by Team Durham. So they have the support there if they need it. They can come to me if they need it, and I'll advance it to the relevant staff member at Durham.
Yeah.
But they're all trained really well. They get some really good training from Team Durham. There's been probably a handful of incidents as I've been doing this in 4 years.
That's excellent.
happened. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
nice
really
to
good.
see that people are
Because
not
it's gonna
toxic or anything.
It's gonna happen.
Oh, it absolutely is.
How is it dealt with? Is it
It's usually like a form of escalation. It's
Right.
if it's persistent, if it's a one-off, they'll just disconnect from the server, do their best to do something else, come back to it later. If it's persistent bullying, if it's persistent toxicity, then they'll escalate it to their rep. They'll have a chat, see what we can do from there, and if that good needs to be further, it's to me or to Team Durham. So there's always a path of support that they can choose from.
And when you're playing in leagues, who are you playing against?
You will. It's
Are other unis on board?
other universities, yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, the National Student Esports League is probably the biggest, alongside with the Newell, which it used to be sponsored by Amazon, but it's not anymore. And there's hundreds of universities in that league. So we placed third, I think, a couple of splits ago. Warwick University seemed
I was
to be
going to
just
say who came first and second?
No, do Warwick. The Warwick space is huge, so it's not surprising to me at all. They just have so many players, and they can have loads of teams, and just throw what they can at it. But we do our best. We do really well. We've got some really good women and non-binary teams that do well. They've won a couple of tournaments
Nice.
the last year or so in Overwatch and Valorant. But yeah, nearly every university in the country has the opportunity to do it because it's free.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up